I married my late wife's closest friend, but on our wedding night, she said, there's something in the safe you need to see before our first night as a married couple. I stood in front of the bedroom safe on my wedding night, watching my new wife's hands shake so badly she couldn't enter the combination. Sarah? My voice came out steadier than I felt. What's going on? She didn't turn around, just stared at the keypad like it might bite her. We'd been married for exactly 4 hours and 17 minutes. The guests were probably still cleaning up my backyard, packing borrowed chairs, unwinding string lights from the oak tree where Emma and I used to hang the tire swing. Emma, my first wife, dead 6 years now, Sarah's best friend. Now, my wife, there's something you need to see, Sarah whispered. Something in the safe. Before our first night as a married couple. The way she said it like she was confessing to something made my stomach drop. Sarah, you're scaring me. I know. Her finger hovered over the keypad. I should have told you sooner, before the wedding, before the engagement, but I kept thinking, maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe the past should stay buried. What past? She finally entered the code. The safe clicked open with a sound that felt too loud in the quiet room. This wasn't how tonight was supposed to go. We were supposed to be celebrating. We were supposed to be happy. After everything we'd been through, everything we'd survived, we'd earned this. Sarah reached into the safe and pulled out a worn manila envelope. Her hands were still shaking. Inside was an old phone, one of those thick smartphones from 7 or 8 years ago. The screen was cracked across one corner. I found this last month, she said, packed away in a box from my old apartment. I'd completely forgotten about it. She powered it on. The startup sound made me flinch. There's a conversation on here, she continued, not looking at me, between me and Emma, from 7 years ago. 7 years ago, Emma had still been alive. We'd been married 5 years by then. Sarah had been going through her divorce from Marcus, that passive-aggressive finance guy who'd slowly crushed her spirit over 3 years of marriage. Sarah opened the messaging app and scrolled through old conversations. I saw Emma's name appear multiple times. Then, she stopped on one thread and turned the screen toward me. The first message was from Sarah, dated March 14th, 7 years and 9 months ago. Asterisk Sarah, I don't know what's wrong with me. I look at you and Michael and I feel so jealous. You have everything I want. Asterisk Sarah. Asterisk. My chest tightened. Asterisk Emma. What do you mean? Asterisk. Asterisk Sarah. The way he looks at you. The way you two work together. The life you've built. I know it's wrong, but sometimes I wonder what it would be like if... Asterisk. Emma's response came immediately. Asterisk Emma. Stop. Right now. He's my husband. Don't go there. Asterisk. There was a timestamp gap of 11 minutes before Sarah responded. Asterisk Sarah. I'm so sorry. I don't know why I said that. I'm just lonely and you're so happy and I asterisk. Asterisk Emma. I love you like a sister, but if you ever try anything with Michael, we're done. Promise me you'll never cross that line. Asterisk. Asterisk Sarah. I promise. I'm so sorry. I don't know what came over me. Asterisk. Asterisk Emma. Promise me, Sarah. Never. Asterisk. Asterisk Sarah. I promise. I swear. I would never do that to you. Asterisk. I stared at the words until they blurred. The phone felt hot in my hands even though it was cool to the touch. I'd completely forgotten about this conversation, Sarah said, her voice barely audible. I was in such a bad place back then. Marcus had just moved out. I was watching you and Emma at those Sunday barbecues, seeing how you'd laugh at each other's terrible jokes, how you'd coordinate in the kitchen without even talking, and I was so jealous I could barely breathe. She sat down on the edge of the bed, still in her wedding dress. The ivory fabric pooled around her feet. I said something stupid to my best friend, she continued. Something I never should have even thought, but I never acted on it. I never let myself think about you that way again. Emma made me promise, and I kept that promise. For years. While she was alive, I never... But she's not alive anymore, I said quietly. Sarah's head snapped up. Tears were streaming down her face, ruining the makeup she'd spent 2 hours perfecting. Exactly, she whispered. That's the problem. When we started getting close after Emma passed, it wasn't planned. It just happened. 3 years of being there for each other, of grieving together, of slowly realizing we weren't just friends anymore. It felt natural. It felt right. So, what's the problem? The problem is this, she gestured at the phone. When I found this message last month, we'd already sent out invitations, already booked the caterer, already told everyone, and I panicked. What if I broke my promise? What if I manipulated you when you were vulnerable? What if everything between us is built on this thing I swore to Emma I'd never do? I sat down beside her, still holding the phone. Do you think you used my grief? She asked, her voice cracking. Because, if you do, we can annul this. Right now. Tonight. I'll sleep on the couch. We can tell everyone it didn't work out. I'll give you space to think. The room was too quiet. I could hear a car passing on the street outside. Someone laughing in a neighboring yard. Normal sounds on the strangest night of my life. I need to think, I said. I didn't sleep that night. Sarah took the guest room without argument. I lay in our bed now, technically, though it it felt wrong to even think that, and stared at the ceiling until the sunrise started filtering through the curtains. Emma had been gone for 6 years, 2 months, and 14 days. I'd stopped counting somewhere around year 4, but my brain kept the tally anyway, some part of me that wouldn't let go. She'd gone to work on a Tuesday morning, software engineer, brilliant mind, terrible at remembering to eat lunch. I'd texted her around noon, sandwich, or starve, She never responded. The aneurysm took her before she hit the floor. The medical examiner said she wouldn't have felt anything. Congenital weakness in an arterial wall. No symptoms, no warning, just gone. 34 years old. Our daughter Lily was 8. Our son Connor was 5. Sarah had shown up to the hospital before I'd even finished calling people. She'd been at a yoga class when Emma's assistant called her. She still had her mat in the car. The next 6 months were a blur of casseroles and condolences and children crying themselves to sleep. Sarah was there for all of it. She'd take Lily and Connor to the park when I couldn't get out of bed. She'd sit with me in the dark kitchen at 2 in the morning when the insomnia hit. She never tried to fix anything. She just existed beside the grief. After a year, she started coming over less. "You need space to figure out your new normal," she'd said. "I'll always be here, but you have to learn to stand on your own." She was right. I did. The kids and I figured out our rhythm. Breakfast routines, bedtime stories, Friday pizza nights. We survived. But I missed her. Missed her terrible puns. Missed how she'd reorganize my spice cabinet without asking because the chaos drove her crazy. Missed the way she understood what I needed without me having to explain. It took another 2 years before I realized what that meant. Now, I was lying in bed on my wedding night, wondering if everything I felt had been real or if I'd been played by someone who'd wanted me all along. At 6:47 a.m., I got up and made coffee. Sarah came downstairs at 7. She'd changed into jeans and an old t-shirt. Her eyes were red and swollen. "I called Dr. Patterson," she said, "our couples therapist. She has an emergency slot at 9 if you want it. Dr. Helena Patterson, licensed marriage and family therapist, 15 years in practice. We'd been seeing her for 3 months before the wedding, mostly at my insistence. I'd wanted to make sure we were doing this for the right reasons, that we weren't just two broken people clinging to each other. Dr. Patterson had said we were solid. Grief can create unhealthy attachments," she'd explained in our first session, "but it can also show you what really matters. You two have put in the work." "Yeah," I said now. "Let's go." Dr. Patterson's office was in a converted Victorian house near downtown. Soft gray walls, comfortable chairs, a white noise machine that hummed in the corner. She was in her mid-50s, with silver-streaked dark hair pulled back in a loose bun. "Congratulations on the wedding," she said as we sat down. Then she looked at our faces. Or perhaps not. Sarah pulled out her old phone and showed Dr. Patterson the conversation. I watched the therapist's face carefully as she read. No judgment, just attention. "When did you find this?" Dr. Patterson asked. 4 weeks ago. I should have said something immediately. "But you panicked," Dr. Patterson finished. "You saw evidence that contradicted the story you'd been telling yourself about how your relationship with Michael began." "Exactly." Dr. Patterson set the phone down on the side table. "Sarah, I want you to look at me. Can you do that?" Sarah nodded, raising her eyes from the floor. "This conversation happened 7 years ago. You were in a failing marriage. Your best friend had something you desperately wanted. Not Michael specifically, but partnership, safety, mutual respect. The way you phrased it was inappropriate. Emma was right to set that boundary, but you kept that promise." "Did I?" Sarah's voice broke. "Because I'm married to him now. Emma's husband. Emma's widower," Dr. Patterson corrected gently. "She's been gone for 6 years. Michael, what do you think about all this?" I'd been quiet, letting them talk. Now both women were looking at me. "I don't know," I admitted. "Part of me thinks it doesn't matter. That was a different time, a different situation. But another part keeps wondering if she's been waiting, if she saw Emma's passing as an opportunity." Sarah flinched, like I'd struck her. "That's a valid fear," Dr. Patterson said. "Sarah, can you answer Michael's concern directly?" Sarah took a shaky breath. "When Emma passed, I didn't think about you romantically at all. I thought about her. I thought about those kids losing their mother. I thought about how unfair it was that the best person I knew just stopped existing. For the first year, maybe 2 years, you were just my grieving friend, the one who needed help, the one who was broken. When did that change?" I asked. "Connor's 7th birthday party. You'd planned this whole treasure hunt through the backyard. You had these ridiculous pirate hats, and watching you with those kids, seeing how hard you were trying to make things feel normal for them. I remember thinking, he's amazing. Not, I want him, just admiration, respect." She twisted her hands in her lap. It crept up so slowly I didn't recognize it. Friendly affection became something deeper. But I fought it. God, I fought it. Because of that promise. Because it felt wrong. It wasn't until you told me you had feelings for me that I let myself even consider it. "Is that true?" Dr. Patterson asked me. I thought back to that conversation on my porch. Sunset, turning the sky, orange and purple. Sarah, in Emma's old cardigan, that she'd somehow inherited. "Yeah," I said. I brought it up first. I told her I was starting to feel something. something, and I didn't know what to do about it. And how did Sarah respond? She said we should wait, that it might just be loneliness. She suggested we see other people first, make sure it wasn't just proximity. Dr. Patterson nodded. Did you? I tried, Sarah said. Went on 4 dates with a guy from work. Nice enough, but the whole time I was just thinking about getting home to Michael and the kids. We'd started doing family game nights. I went on 3 dates, I added, with a woman Emma's sister set me up with. Felt like I was cheating the entire time. On your late wife or on Sarah? Dr. Patterson asked. The question hit me in the chest. Both. We sat with that for a moment. Here's what I'm hearing, Dr. Patterson said. Sarah, you made an inappropriate comment 7 years ago during a moment of weakness. Emma set a boundary. You respected that boundary for years, even when circumstances changed. Michael, you developed feelings organically and initiated the romantic relationship. Both of you tried to resist it out of respect for Emma's memory. She leaned forward in her chair. The question isn't whether Sarah wanted Michael 7 years ago. The question is whether what you built together over the last 3 years is real. And from what I've seen in our sessions, it is. You've done the grief work. You've been honest about your fears. You've integrated Emma's memory into your new life rather than trying to erase it. Then why does it feel wrong? Sarah whispered. Because you found evidence that you weren't perfect, that you had a human moment of jealousy and weakness. But Sarah, the measure of character isn't whether you have flawed thoughts, it's what you do with them. You could have acted on those feelings when Emma was alive. You didn't. You could have pursued Michael immediately after Emma passed. You didn't. You waited until he came to you, and even then, you made him work for it. Dr. Patterson picked up the phone and handed it back to Sarah. This conversation isn't evidence of manipulation. It's evidence that you're human. And the fact that you showed it to Michael instead of deleting it tells me everything I need to know about your integrity. We left the session emotionally drained. The parking lot was starting to fill up with the Monday morning rush. I need to talk to Emma's mom, I said. Sarah stopped walking. Michael, not about this specifically, but about us, about everything. I should have done it before the wedding. She gave us her blessing. She was at the ceremony. I know, but I need to hear it again. Patricia Holloway lived 40 minutes away in the house where Emma grew up. White colonial with blue shutters. The same tire swing I'd proposed to Emma under still hung from the oak tree in the front yard. She opened the door in her gardening clothes, dirt under her fingernails, surprise on her face. Michael, Sarah, is everything okay? Can we talk? I asked. She led us to her kitchen and made tea none of us touched. Then she sat down and looked at us with those same green eyes Emma had inherited. You look terrible, she said bluntly. What happened? Sarah started to speak, but I cut her off. Did Emma ever tell you that Sarah had feelings for me? Patricia's expression didn't change. Yes, about 7 years ago, she called me crying, said Sarah had said something inappropriate, and she didn't know how to handle it. I told her to talk it through, set boundaries, move forward. And did they? As far as I know, Emma never brought it up again. She and Sarah stayed close. Whatever it was, they got past it. I felt Sarah tense beside me. Did it bother you? I asked Patricia. When we got together, Patricia set down her teacup carefully. You want the truth? Please. It bothered me, she admitted. Not because I thought you were betraying Emma, but because I was afraid you were replacing her, that you were trying to recreate what you lost by finding someone as close to Emma as possible. The words stung because I'd wondered the same thing. I watched you two carefully, Patricia continued. At family dinners, at Lily's school events, the way you interacted with each other. And you know what I saw? We waited. I saw two people who were building something new. Sarah isn't Emma. She doesn't laugh the same way, doesn't tell stories the same way, doesn't mother the kids the same way. You're not trying to make her into Emma's replacement. You're letting her be herself. She reached across the table and took Sarah's hand. Emma loved you both. She would have hated what happened to her, hated leaving Michael and those babies, but if she had any say in what came after, Patricia's voice cracked, she would have wanted you to take care of each other. Both of you. Sarah started crying, not the quiet tears from before, real sobs. I broke my promise to her, Sarah choked out. What promise? She made me promise I'd never cross that line with Michael. And you didn't, Patricia said firmly. She was alive when you made that promise. The terms changed when she passed. You didn't betray her, Sarah. You honored her by being there for her family when they needed you most. But I wanted him, Sarah said. Even back then, I wanted what she had. Of course you did. She had a good marriage, security, love. You were trapped with Marcus, watching him slowly erase you. Wanting something better doesn't make you evil. Acting on it while she was alive would've. You didn't. Patricia squeezed Sarah's hand. The promise Emma made you swear was about respecting her marriage, her life. That marriage ended when she passed. The promise ended too. You don't owe the dead your future, Sarah. You owe them your grief and your memory. You've given both. Now you get to live. We drove home in silence. The words sat between us, heavy with meaning. When we pulled into the driveway, I turned off the car but didn't move to get out. I talked to Lily yesterday, I said. Before the wedding. Sarah looked at me, surprised. She's 16 now, old enough to understand complicated things. I asked her how she felt about us getting married. What did she say? She said Mom would have liked you, that you're not trying to be her, and that's good because nobody could be her, but that you're exactly what our family needs. I turned to face Sarah fully. Connor said something similar. He barely remembers Emma now, and I hate that, but he said, "You make me happy," that he likes it when I'm happy. Sarah's eyes filled with tears again. I've been so focused on whether this is fair to Emma, I continued, that I forgot to think about whether it's fair to you, to us, to the life we're actually living, instead of the one we lost. What are you saying? I'm saying I read those texts last night about 100 times, and you know what I noticed? What? You said you wondered what it would be like if. You never finished that sentence. You never said, if you were mine, or if Emma wasn't in the picture. You just said, if. I don't understand. You were wondering what it would be like to have what Emma had, not to have me specifically, not to take her place, just to have that kind of partnership, that kind of happiness, and Emma knew that. That's why she could forgive you, because you weren't threatening her marriage. You were mourning your own. I reached over and took her hand. You didn't manipulate me. You didn't seduce me during my grief. You were there, and I was there, and slowly, we became something new. Something that honors Emma's memory by proving that love doesn't die with the person, it just transforms. Are we okay? Sarah whispered. We're better than okay. We're real, complicated, and messy, and real. I kissed her then. Not the careful kiss from the wedding ceremony. A real kiss. Choosing her, choosing us. When we pulled apart, she was smiling for the first time since she'd opened that safe. So, she said, about our wedding night. We're 24 hours late, but I think we can make up for lost time. 3 months later, I was cleaning out the garage when I found a box of Emma's things I'd never been able to go through. Old journals, photos, random items that hadn't fit anywhere else. At the bottom was a sealed envelope with my name on it. I knew Emma's handwriting immediately. My hands shook as I opened it. Asterisk, Michael, asterisk, asterisk. If you're reading this, something went wrong. The headaches I've been having, the doctors say they're nothing, but I wanted to be prepared just in case. Asterisk. My throat tightened. She'd known something was wrong. Asterisk. I don't have much time to write this, so I'll be direct. If I'm gone and you're alone, I want you to know something. Asterisk. Asterisk. Sarah loves you. Not in a romantic way, she's never acted on it, and I trust her completely. But I see how she looks at you sometimes when she thinks nobody's watching. I see how she lights up when you laugh at her jokes, and I'm not angry about it. I'm grateful. Asterisk. Asterisk. You're a good man, Michael. You deserve to be loved. And if something happens to me, and if someday down the road you and Sarah find each other, I want you to know, I understand. She's good people. She'd be good to you, good to the kids. Asterisk. Asterisk. Don't waste your life mourning me. Live it. Love again. Be happy. Asterisk. Asterisk. That's not betrayal. That's exactly what I'd want. Asterisk. Asterisk. Love, always. Emma. Asterisk. I read the letter 3 times before my vision blurred too much to continue. Sarah found me there 20 minutes later, sitting on the garage floor with tears streaming down my face. What's wrong? She dropped to her knees beside me. I handed her the letter. I watched her read it, watched her face crumple, watched her start crying too. She knew, Sarah breathed. She knew, and she gave us permission. She gave us permission. We sat there in the dusty garage, holding each other, holding Emma's blessing, finally understanding that moving forward wasn't betrayal. It was exactly what she'd wanted all along. That night, I put Emma's letter in the safe where Sarah's old phone had been. 2 pieces of evidence that our love wasn't built on betrayal or manipulation or broken promises. It was built on grief, survival, and the courage to let yourself be happy again. Sarah curled up beside me in bed, her head on my chest, and for the first time since our wedding night, everything felt right. Thank you, she whispered. For what? For not giving up on us, for choosing to believe the best instead of assuming the worst. That's what love is, I said. Trust in the face of doubt, faith when the evidence is complicated. She was quiet for a long moment. Emma was right, she finally said. You are a good man, and she was right about you too. You're exactly what this family needed. Outside, the string lights from the wedding were still hanging in the backyard. We'd decided to leave them up, a reminder that joy could coexist with loss. That new beginnings didn't erase the past, they just added new chapters to the story. I fell asleep with Sarah in my arms and Emma's blessing in my heart, finally understanding that some promises transform when circumstances change, and that the dead don't want our guilt. They want our happiness. They want us to keep living. The following Sunday, we had our first official family dinner as a married couple. Patricia came, along with my parents and Sarah's sister, Rachel. Lily helped Sarah make lasagna while Connor set the table with elaborate precision, folding napkins into shapes that didn't quite work but looked impressive anyway. Over dinner, Patricia raised her glass. To Emma, she said, who brought us all together and would be glad to see us here. To Emma, we echoed. Then, Sarah raised her glass. And to second chances, to complicated love, to families built from broken pieces. We drank to that too. Later, after everyone left and the kids were in bed, Sarah and I sat on the back porch where she'd first told me she loved me, the place where everything had changed. Do you think we would have found each other, she asked, if Emma had lived? No, I said honestly. We would have stayed friends, good friends, but nothing more. The promise would have held. Do you wish she'd lived anyway? Every single day. But I'm also grateful for what we have. Both things can be true. She leaned her head on my shoulder. Emma's letter said she'd been having headaches, that she knew something might be wrong. I know. Do you think she wrote other letters? To the kids? To me? Maybe. We can look. But even as I said it, I knew it didn't matter. The rest was up to us. 3 days later, I found one more letter in an old book Emma used to keep on her nightstand. This one was addressed to Sarah. I gave it to her unopened. She read it alone in our bedroom, then came out with red eyes and a peaceful expression. What did it say? I asked. She told me to forgive myself, that she knew about my feelings and she never held them against me, that if something happened to her, I should be there for you and the kids, and that if we found our way to each other, she'd understand. Sarah folded the letter carefully and put it in the safe next to the others. She orchestrated this, Sarah said with something like awe. She knew she might be running out of time, and she made sure we'd be okay. That was Emma, always taking care of everyone. Do you think she'd approve of how we handled everything? I thought about the panic on our wedding night, the therapy session, the tearful conversation with Patricia, the way we'd fought through doubt to get to truth. I think she'd say we did it the hard way, I said. But yeah, she'd approve. Sarah smiled, the kind of smile that still made my heart skip, the kind that made me believe everything we'd been through was worth it. I love you, she said. I love you too. And somewhere, I like to think Emma was smiling too. Not because she was gone and we'd moved on, but because she'd loved us both enough to set us free. The past would always be part of us. The grief, the guilt, the complicated journey from friendship to something more, but it didn't define us anymore. We did, together.